beautiful creatures. Welcome to the Oracle of Lilith. My name's Amy. Today I'm doing a collective message from Lilith. I'm so glad you're here. And keep in mind, it's a general reading, it's a general session. Take what resonates and leave the rest behind. I do offer personal and private readings and sessions. All that information will be down in my description box below. If you're new here, hello, how are you? It's so good to have you. I hope you will consider subscribing to my channel and becoming a member of my tribe. I would love to have you. I just want to send a big thank you, a big soul hug to all of you who have been sending me such wonderful messages and keeping my spirits up while I've been going through this lupus flare, and I really and truly appreciate it. I am getting better, and last week I tried on a mock-up. They mock up your dentures with like wax to see how they're going to fit, the dimensions and all that stuff. And I tried my teeth on last week for the first time, and it's the first time I saw myself with a full set of teeth in it's well over 5 years. It's probably closer to 7 or 8, but it was a very emotional and empowering moment for me. It really was like the jot of energy I needed to kind of overcome this little flare situation we're in. But I am getting better, so I feel like I've turned a corner. And for people who deal with chronic illness and things like that, there's kind of a moment where you kind of waffle. You're not sure if you're going to get better. You're not sure if the flare is going to go away. And then it's almost like you wake up one day and you're like, here's the downhill now. Now I'm in recovery mode. So that's where I'm at. So anyway, and this week I will do another fitting with my dentures and see how it goes. I may get my upper that day. I'm not sure, but we'll just see what happens. So now, there's been a lot of heavy, let's call it what it is, shit that's happened. And if I speak weird, it's because I don't have teeth right now, and I'm still not used to not having teeth. So my speech is a little slurry or whatever. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, there's been a lot of weird shit going on in the world. It seems like we're being further and further restricted, right? Further and further oppressed. Now, understand that this is the reaction to more people becoming free. Okay, it's as if our matrix, our reality, our 3D, the simulation, whatever you want to call it, is trying to stay in control. They're trying to regain control, and so how it works is the more they latch on to trying to control, the more bold and powerful the dark feminine becomes. It's just the way it works. After being oppressed for so long, there is almost like an explosive energy coming forward from dark goddess energy. Now, this could be any dark goddess, whatever you resonate with, but it's definitely the time of the dark goddess. This is an energy that is unapologetic. This is an energy that doesn't care about fitting into anyone's expectations, really cares about your freedom and you having your authentic voice. Because Lilith, my dark goddess, my matron, I channel her as well. She's also my walk-in. We are soul braided, and that's a whole nother video. I'm going to make that one of these days when I get my teeth. But anyway, she is a perfect example. Okay, so Lilith is older than the Hebrew. She's older than the Sumerian gods. But let's take one of the common myths about Lilith. Her refusing to submit to Adam. Her speaking her mind in the face of God, okay? That is a divine feminine energy who was unafraid to be who they am. That was a divine feminine energy that was like, you're not going to tell me who to be or how to act or what to say. And because of that, she was rejected. Now, I will say that in this story, this feels very much like a patriarchal energy rejecting a divine feminine that refuses to submit, so punishing her for not submitting. It's like a subconscious story about, don't you dare be a bad girl, person, human, divine feminine. Don't you dare. Because if you do, we will further oppress you. You're seeing that in the world right now. You're seeing that in America for sure. And what's happening is while all this stuff is going on, underneath the revealing of the monsters that have been victimizing, being parasitic off our most vulnerable, off our weakest. And that's all over the world, okay? And what's happening is, as it's revealed, they try more to control, because that's the reaction to being discovered for who they are. But what they don't understand is that this is a very different time in history. And their normal strokes, their normal punches aren't going to work. Because when you rise like this, and there's a group of people who have definitely risen within the human collective and are holding energy of the dark divine in powerful ways, you can't really affect that energy. Once you rise to a certain degree, once you have awakened and ascended to a certain level, you in so many ways are untouchable. Yes, do they have power in the 3D? Yes. Can they do things to block you? Yes. But the difference now is, instead of being silenced, we're going to get louder. It's just going to get stronger, because there are things on this planet that need to change. And the predators who prey on the weak are going to become prey for the strongest. A true predator, a true strong energy, doesn't prey on the weak. That is a sign of weakness, okay? Strength comes from knowing you have the power and you don't do it. You choose other. You use intelligence. You use your divine intellect. Okay, so, all right, let me pull some cards here. I'm going to move these out of the way. I'm going to start with the Dark Mirror. This is a deck I use with heavy energy. Find out what's going on. Tell me what's going on within the collective. Tell me what's going on within my collective. But I'm hearing Lilith say, like, you need to tell them how pissed off I am. Okay, I am pissed. Okay, we have revenge. Okay, now what I'm getting with this is that it says revenge here, okay, and that always has been judged, right? But revenge many times, especially on a massive scale, it's not really revenge. It's balancing of energy. It's saying no. I'm getting like vengeful. Like, they don't expect those of us who are being oppressed to speak, to act, to do. They're not going to see us coming. And they will cry revenge. They will cry bitterness. They will cry anger. They will even call some of us out for our religious views. And that's because their paradigm is dying. It is being crushed underneath the boot. You know, many people feel literally like they have a boot on their neck. And I have felt that before. It's okay to be angry. Okay, it's okay to feel anger. It's okay to even feel hatred. It's human, all right? But it's important that you don't allow your anger, your bitterness, your feelings, your emotions to override your intellect. We, as a society, the human family, have to be smart. We have to move like a lion stalking its prey. We have to be smarter. We have to be more quiet in some ways. In other words, speak your truth. Distract them with the truth, speaking it. Your action needs to be in stillness. It needs to be quiet. Okay. Let me pull one from the Mystical Martian. This is one of my favorite texts. It's one of my favorite decks. Okay. All right. I'm going to pull this one. Okay, we have Merkaba. Movement, long distance travel, excitement. Can you guys see that? Okay. So there is a movement going to happen. Okay. And I feel like a lot of people think that this oppression is going to go on for a really long period of time. And the truth is there's going to be movement here. This is not like the old days where everything was slow, We have the internet now. People can travel all over the world in a matter of hours. It's a different society. We are built differently. There are generations of us who have been abused, mistreated, and thrown away. And many of those people are rising. You're waking up. Some of you guys have just woken up for the first time and you see the world as it really is, and it's devastating. And for some of us, we've been working on this for a really long time. And when we see the unveiling, we know that this is the pathway. You may feel like, am I on the right timeline? Yes, you are. This is how it has to happen to wake. Some people are so deeply asleep, it takes dramatic acts of unmentionable cruelty to wake some people up. And the suffering is not okay, the pain is not okay. But unfortunately for humanity, some of us have been lulled into trance states by programming and constant inflow of what am I looking for? Propaganda. And those of us who have woken up and seen the propaganda, we see the controlled opposition, we see people who have said they're going to do things, said they're going to step up, and have done nothing. We've seen it all. We see both sides. We understand that this is a giant program of control for society, for humanity. And we're going to get movement. And I feel like for a lot of you guys, there's an activation coming with the Merkaba. I've been seeing in meditation, I've been seeing a lot of geometric structures. I've been seeing a lot of portals open, and I've been seeing a lot of just general activation energy. So with that, I'm going to pull one for the geometric activations. Tell me about this activation. Tell me about this activation for this part of the collective. Compassion. Okay, the frequency of compassion supports our ability to stand by others without judgment and be the divine mediator between heaven and earth, spirit and matter, so the unconditional love can flow from source through our heart and into the world. This is the activation. Okay, there are a lot of people on this planet who do not have any compassion for another because it has been systematically bred out of them through programming, through tough times, through constantly being hammered at. And many times, especially with my clients, I often tell them, like, the first step in your awakening process really and truly is for you to hold space for yourself, for how you feel. It's hard to not overanalyze an awakening experience, but it's important to kind of even write those thoughts down, write those questions, analyze it on paper, then hold space for the emotion. Allow the purge of emotion. A lot of people think that awakening, it doesn't matter first, second, third, fourth, whatever, is like happy, joy, joy, rainbows and butterflies. And the truth is, awakening is one of the most brutal things you'll ever do because you're waking up to a reality that doesn't fit what you think it was. It's like you have that, what is that called? Cognitive dissonance. You just can't seem to put the beliefs, your thoughts, and the reality of the world together. It's like the puzzle comes apart. I'm seeing like Jenga come apart, but it can't come back together. Like once it's come apart, it's done. Once the lid's off, that's what you got, And so this is part of the activation of compassion. You learn to hold space for yourself. Even the negative energy, even the negative thoughts, even those negative things, they have value. I will say to you that if you need help, if you're having intrusive thoughts, if you're having any kind of thoughts that don't hold you in the highest regard, go seek help if you need it. Go to a counselor, go to therapy, whatever you need to do, okay? But it's important that you hold space. Like if you feel sorrow, if you feel a need to cry, you have to allow yourself to cry. And I talk about crying because I didn't cry for years. I didn't cry for years. My compassion level was very low. The only people I really had compassion for was my own children. Okay. I didn't have compassion for myself. That's why I pushed myself to the point where I collapsed in 2012, 2013. And I got myself in a situation that was so deep with my health that I thought I would never get out. And through the whole time that I was bedbound, I still did not hold compassion for myself because I judged myself every day for what I did and didn't do. I judged myself for being sick. I judged myself for not being enough. And the longer that I sat in that energy, the more cut off from others I became, the more into the darkness I went. And, I often talk about darkness. I literally lived in darkness for 6 years. Like, I saw very little sunlight because my lupus was to the point where when I went out in the sun, I was already flaring, but that sun and the intense heat, because I live in Oklahoma, would afflict me with like a flare on top of a flare. It would increase my flare. So my windows were blacked out and I lived in darkness. I didn't watch television. I completely cut myself off. And it wasn't until the moment in like 2019 that I really began to have compassion for myself. Now, a year before that, I started to be like, hey, this is screwed up. I was trying to get a medication. It was like, I don't know, it was like $5,000 a month. It was an insane amount of money. My doctor had decided basically for me to take something that would turn off my immune system. And I couldn't get it, I took forever. So, and come to find out that that drug would have colossal effects upon me. But I started to kind of hold compassion then when I saw that I couldn't get I have insurance. I can't get the medication I need. What is going on? What kind of world do we live in? I'm sitting over here trying to stay alive, and you're going to deny me that? I had an outrage about it. And that was in 2018. Then in 2019, I had compassion for myself, and it was very powerful. And usually there's a moment, there's a turning point where you begin to kind of grow in self-love and you give yourself mercy. That is how the activation of compassion works. So I often tell people who have just woken up, hold space for yourself. If you need to cry, cry. If you need to eat Twinkies, eat Twinkies. This is not the time to judge what you need. This is a time to express your emotion. And try to express that in positive ways that feed your soul. Like, care about yourself. Put yourself first. Let people judge you. That's on them. They're judging you because of their own messed up thought process, not because of you. Okay? You take care of you. There's only one you. Okay? And you're going through a sacred time, many of you, even if you've already awoken. This process is nothing short of brutal. So it's really important that you hold space for compassion for yourself. How compassion works is once you really start to hold that for yourself, it begins to blossom and you're able to hold space for others. Part of what's being revealed is the cruelty. It is the oppression of our system on this planet. And it's not just America, it's all over the place. There's a lot of stuff going on that's not in the news about Africa right now. We should be outraged about what's going on in Africa, and no one's talking about it. And that, to me, is like, it's just a sign of the means of control, the racism, the bigotry, the hatred that the powers that be really have for humanity as a whole. I don't think the average person feels this way. I think the average person is very open and very loving, but the programming that has been inflicted upon all of us has taken over a lot of people, and they're acting out a program. They're acting like an NPC. They're doing as programmed. They're not a playable character. Now, they could wake up and become a playable character, if you know what I'm saying, but it's going to take a lot. But, I will say this, the universe doesn't give up on anyone because we are all ultimately one thing. We are the universe. We are God consciousness, fully advanced and alive in a biological suit, a highly advanced biological suit, by the way. Even though you guys may be like, my biological suit doesn't feel very advanced. Well, it is, okay? If that tells you how hard it is to be in a biological suit, be in a suit full of nerve endings and a nervous system and these systems that have to stay in stasis for us not to feel bad, it's tough. Being a human is tough. It's one of the toughest gigs you can get in the multiverses, but it's also very special. That nervous system, the energy systems that make us sensitive are the same energy systems that sometimes seem to make the vessel a little off. Okay, and it's okay to be off. It's okay, to not feel good all the time. It's okay. This expectation of health is different for everyone. My health will always be a little different than the norm, right? So you have to hold space for that. You have to hold space for the things you need. If you have a chronic illness or you're dealing with an illness of some kind, you have to be kind to yourself. And that's part of what the whole social distancing thing was about. It's about like holding space for your own healing and learning how to have a relationship with yourself and getting to know who you are. When you get to know who you are, you know what is your energy and what is not. That is the beginning of discernment. Discerning what energies are programming, what energies are inflictions of consciousness, and what energies are yours and belong to you. Compassion is part of that activation. Compassion for yourself helps you get to know who you are. It helps you feed your soul. It helps you get to know your own energy. And then when other energies approach, you're like, that's not me. That's not me. That's either something being sent to me, it's programming, it's expectation, but that's not me. And you can absolutely pull that out and walk away from it because you know your energy, you know your frequency. All right? Okay, guys, that's what I got for today. I hope this resonated. If it did or it didn't, please leave me a comment in the comment section down below. I would love to hear from you guys. I hope you have the most beautiful day, and I'll see you beautiful magical creatures next time. Bye, guys.